بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Allah starts off Surah Al-Nahl. Nahl means the bee, honeybee. Allah makes a mention of the bee in that surah. And that is why the whole surah is named after that. But Allah is mentioning many different blessings of His in that surah. That is why according to some ulama, they also call this surah Surah Al-Ni'am, the surah of blessings, because Allah is mentioning so many blessings in this surah. Like Allah starts off in the beginning by mentioning some of the animals. Allah says, وَالْخَيْلَ وَالْبِغَالَ وَالْحَمِيرَ, the horse, the mule, the donkey, لِتَرْكَبُوهَا, so you can mount on it. It will take you from A to B. It will take your luggage. That was the means of transport in those days. And Allah did not say لِتَأْكُلُوهَا. Allah didn't say you eat. That is why some of the fuqaha they write that you are allowed to eat other animals, but horse not as much. There are other fiqh rulings, because primarily Allah has made it to ride on. That is where you get horse riding from. And then Allah mentions something really amazing. Allah says, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and He creates. In English you have three tenses: the past tense, the present tense, and the future tense. But in Arabic you have past tense, present tense, and future tense. And then you have another one called mudari', meaning present and future put together, two in one. So Allah says He is creating and He will create, present and future put together. He is creating and He will create other things which you don't even know. Like nowadays we have trains, we have cars, we have planes. Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when they read this ayah, they couldn't imagine. Today we read it. What will happen 100 years down the line, 50 years down the line? Can we imagine? Allah is creating and Allah will continue to create. And then the next ayah Allah says, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ قَصْدُ السَّبِيلِ, upon Allah is the right way, the straight path. وَمِنْهَا جَائِرٌ, and then you have the wrong path as well. People, they go on the deviated path. So first in one ayah Allah mentions the means of transport in this world that will take you to E to B, A to B. But then in the next ayah Allah mentions the transport to Jannah. If you're on the right way, you will make it to Jannah. If you're on the wrong path, you will not make it to Jannah. May Allah give us understanding. You know how Allah talks about these things in the Quran. When we understand the beauty of the Quran, and then when we hear the Quran, then when we listen to the Quran, then when we hear the Taraweeh, subhanallah, then Allah mentions many different blessings, but to get to the point of the honeybee, by which the whole surah has been mentioned. Allah says, وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ, your Lord sends wahi, sends a revelation to the honeybee. So Allah doesn't say to anybody else. Allah directly inspires that honeybee, أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا, make your house in the mountains. وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ, make your houses in the trees. وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ, make your houses in the things which people build for you. Beehives. People, they make beehives and all this. ثُمَّ كُلِي مِن كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ, then eat from every fruit. Allah is saying this directly to the bee. فَاسْلُكِي سُبُلَ رَبُّكَ, and walk on the path of your Lord. So that bee that is buzzing around is not just walking on any path, is a path which Allah is navigating, which Allah is inspiring it to walk on. Allah doesn't say walk on your path. Allah says walk on the path of your Lord. That is why when a bee is buzzing around, you should move out of the way. He's walking on the path of your Lord. You don't want to come into the way. And another point which we learn from the bee, I will share with you a very beautiful hadith as well, is that whenever anything comes in its path, then it tries to move it away. It doesn't get carried, it doesn't get stopped, it doesn't get blocked by anybody coming in its path. It'll challenge anybody coming in its path. Then the Prophet ﷺ in one hadith of Musnad Ahmad, he mentions a really amazing thing. He takes a qasam first. He says, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, by the being in whose control my life is in. There was no need for the Prophet ﷺ to take a qasam. But can you just imagine the Prophet of Allah taking a qasam? The thing he's to mention is going to be really important. What does he say? He says, إِنَّ مَثَلَ الْمُؤْمِنِ كَمَثَلِ النَّخْلِ. The example of a believer is the example of a honeybee. A mu'min is like a honeybee, or he should be like a honeybee. What does it mean? Then the Prophet ﷺ himself mentions, أَكَلَ الطَّيِّبَ. Whatever the honeybee feeds on, it's always pure things. It doesn't feed on anything and everything. It looks for the pure things. That is the situation of a believer, how it should be. He should be earning pure and he should be eating pure. Allah give us understanding. Take a lesson from the honeybee. Allah is telling us that bee which you shun around, that bee which you shove away, that bee which you run away from, Allah wants you to take lessons from it. فَأَكَلَ الطَّيِّبَ. He only feeds on pure things. Allah give us understanding. First of all, our income should be pure. The Prophet ﷺ says that a time will come before Qiyamah, لَا يُبَالِ الْمَغْ. A person will not bother where he is getting his income from. أَمِنَ الْحَلَالِ أَمْ مِنَ الْحَرَامِ. Whether it's from halal or haram, the money should come. However, even if little bit is coming, it's making ends meet, and I'm not enjoying a lavish lifestyle, my basic needs are being fulfilled, that is better in many ways than having a lavish lifestyle which is of haram. Allah save us. That is what we see today. Our youngsters, alhamdulillah, they go to school, they go to colleges, they go to universities, and Allah has given them the mind, Allah has given them the intellect, Allah has given them the intelligence to do really well and to get somewhere in life in terms of the education, in terms of the career. But no, they get into the wrong crowd. They want to do a fast one, as they say. They want to get rich quick. At the age of 20, I want to drive the latest car. At the age of 20, I want to have the latest phone. At the age of 25, I should be owning my mansion. Whether I get it the halal way or haram way, na'udhu billah. Allah save us. What is happening? We need to ask ourselves, anything happens, no haram will come into my house. No haram will come into my pocket. No haram will come into my family. May Allah give us understanding. The Prophet ﷺ, one hadith, he mentions, very beautiful hadith, he says that Allah is pure and Allah only accepts pure things. So a person, he stole or he earned £1 through haram, or he stole somebody's pound. Now that he committed a sin, then he comes and he gives it to a poor person, he drops it in the money box or wherever, gives it in charity. Now the logic some people they use is amazing. I earned it through haram, so I will get one sin, or I robbed it, so I will get one sin. But now I am giving, I am doing something good with it, so I am getting 10. Allah hasn't accepted that in the first place, never mind dreaming for 10. Allah is pure, Allah only accepts pure. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he mentions the command which Allah gave to the prophets. Allah gave the same command to the believers. What command did Allah give to the prophets? Ya ayyuha rusul kulu min at-tayyibat wa'malu salihah. O my prophets, eat pure things. Eat pure things. And then do good deeds. Allah should have said, do good deeds and eat pure things. But first Allah is mentioning, eat pure things and do good deeds. The Mufassirin, they mention, the more pure our food will be, the more good our deeds will be. The more pure our food, it will reflect on our actions. That halal, that tayyib food will make us want to go to the masjid. That halal food will make us want to perform salah. That halal food will wake us up for tahajjud. That halal food will make us read the Quran. But when it is haram food, doubtful food, it won't have that same effects. So we need to, rather than worrying about how tasty the food is, we should be more worried about how halal the food is. Then the Prophet ﷺ in the same hadith, he mentions, Allah has commanded the believers, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kulu min tayyibat, eat from the pure things, washkuru lillah, do the shukr of Allah. Then the Prophet ﷺ mentions a person, ثم ذكر الرجل يطيل السفر, who's on a long journey. أشعث أغبر, his hair is all over the place, he's dusty, he's in a shabby condition. يمد يديه إلى السماء, he's raising his hands to the sky. And he's saying, Ya Rabb, Ya Rabb. Now, remember these four things. He's on a long journey. Number two, he's in a shabby condition. He's dusty, his hair is all over the place. Number three, he's raising his hands to the sky. Number four, he's saying, Ya Rabb, Ya Rabb. Even if he was to have one of these, his dua would be accepted. Just one of these. But he's got all four of them combined. Because the Prophet ﷺ mentions that when a person, thalathu da'wat mustajabat, when a person, three types of people, Allah will never reject the dua. The dua is always accepted. One of them is a person who's traveling, who's on safar. So he's already traveling. So his dua could be accepted. Then in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ mentions that there are many people whose hair is all over the place, they are dusty, they are shabby, they are very simple people. People will slam the door on them. But they are such that when they make dua to Allah, Allah will accept the dua immediately. So he's in that condition. Number three, the Prophet ﷺ mentions that he's raising his hands. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentions, I mentioned it the other day, Inna Allah ta'ala hayyun kareemun. Allah is very shy. He is very generous. When a slave raises his hands, Allah feels shy to let it down without giving anything. So the fact that Allah is giving you the ability to raise your hands is a sign that Allah wants to give you something. That in itself is a sign that Allah wants to bless you with something. So he's doing that as well. And number four, he's saying, Ya Rabb, Ya Rabb. In one hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, the Prophet ﷺ mentions that person who will say 4 times in his dua, Ya Rabb, Ya Rabb, Ya Rabb, or anything to do with the word Rabb, Rabbana, Rabbi, Rabbana, Rabbana, he says 4 times, Allah will accept his dua. So he hasn't got any one of this, he's got all 4 of them. So there's 4 times more chances of his dua getting accepted. But why is his dua not being accepted? وَمَطْعَمُهُ حَرَامٌ. The food he is eating is haram. وَمَشْرَبُهُ حَرَامٌ. The drink he is drinking is haram. وَغُذِيَ بِالْحَرَامِ. His whole lifestyle is haram. فَأَنَّا يُسْتَجَابُ. The Prophet ﷺ said, how can his dua be accepted? Allah give us understanding. So the lesson to learn from the bee is, it only eats pure things. وَوَضَعَتْ طَيِّبًا. And it only leaves behind pure things. It eats pure and its remains are always pure as well. It doesn't, if you see a honeybee if you look at the amazing facts of a bee, then you will see that when a bee goes onto a pollen, and then when it will never, first of all, go to an area where there's already another bee been. It will never take the territory of another bee. You're always very considerate of other bees. As a Muslim, we should be considerate about other Muslims. The way I am living, the way I am setting up my business, the way I'm parking my car, the way I'm making noise. Considerate of other humans. Never mind Muslims. May Allah give us understanding. The Prophet ﷺ mentions that when you are doing something in your garden, when you are doing something in your house, and the house next door is right next to it, and you want to build a wall, or you want to build a fence, or you want to build extension, which is in your own garden, but it will affect air coming into the house next door. It will affect light coming into the house next door. It will affect some of his facilities. Although it's in your own land, you should do it with his happiness. If he is happy, only then with your action Allah will be happy. Can you just imagine how considerate the Islam is teaching us? Alhamdulillah, we are living in a country where we have these laws in place, where we want to do anything in our own land, we need to take all these planning guidelines and planning permissions, and Alhamdulillah, all these things are considered. They have consultations and all this. But we see in many Muslim countries, a person who has money, he's building skyscrapers. Now the person next door, whether his light is finished, whether his air is finished, who cares? I've got money. Money talks. That is not the teaching of Islam. Learn a lesson from the honeybee. Learn a lesson. It's very considerate. If another bee is already feeding from that plant, the bee will smell it and make sure he doesn't go on that same one. He goes to another one. He may look for another territory. Then the Prophet ﷺ mentions that it extracts whatever it needs to extract from the flower, but it doesn't leave it empty. It leaves that flower nourished as well. So it doesn't just use the flower and then just leaves it. No, it keeps the flower more nourished even after it's extracted whatever it needs to extract. So many lessons to learn. We take work from someone, or we take help from someone, we need to leave them more nourished, more motivated. We need to empower one another, not make the other people feel that they are, just workers, or they are just, slaves or something. We need to empower everybody. A lesson from the honeybee. And then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the last point in this hadith. He said, he never breaks that flower. He never breaks that flower. It doesn't cause any corruption. Amazing. It doesn't cause any corruption. A honeybee goes somewhere and he finds a nice area to, for its making its bee or something. Then he comes back to the rest of the flowers. Then he does a bee dance. You get these bee dances. He does like a little dance to give a message to the other bees that there is more on the other side. Follow me. I will show you where you need to go to in order to feed, in order to get something. Today Allah has blessed us in something. Let us not become control over it. This is only mine. No, only mine. Help everyone. Help everyone. Be like the bee. If Allah has fulfilled your sustenance, if you are feeling nourished, help others get their sustenance as well. Be like the bee. Allah give us understanding. So many qualities in such a little animal bee. And Allah has mentioned it in the Quran. Then Allah says, when all these qualities are combined in such a beautiful animal bee, then what happens? يَخْرُجُ مِن بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ. The thing that comes out of it It's such a pure drink, honey, that we see. فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ. It is a cure for so many things in the world. The honey is a cure for so many. Until today, the doctors are still researching as to how many illnesses the honey can cure. Until today, the research is still ongoing. You know, they research this, then they research that. The Prophet ﷺ, one day a Sahabi came, he said, "O Prophet of Allah, my brother, he's got stomach problems, stomach pains." Prophet ﷺ said, "Give him honey." So the person, he went back, he gave his brother honey. He said, "O Prophet of Allah," came back again, said, "O Prophet of Allah, I gave him honey. It seems to have increased. The pains seem to have gone even worse." So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Give him honey." So the person, he went away, he gave him honey. Came back and said, "O Prophet of Allah, it's getting worse. The situation is getting worse." So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Allah has said the truth, but the stomach of your brother is not accepting it. Allah has said the truth. Give him honey." Then he gave him honey, then Allah gave him shifa. You know, sometimes you need to have a certain amount of honey, a certain dosage in order to get those results. Amazing, you know, so many narrations, so many ahadith in regards to the cure in honey. The Prophet ﷺ mentions that cure is in three things. He always mentions honey. So when you will have all these qualities, then the thing you will give to the world will also be a cure for the world. Today we see as Muslims have become like a problem in the world, na'udhu billah. Islam has become like a problem in the world. If we bring these qualities into the world, into our lives, into the lives of ourselves and our families, can you just imagine all the problems that are in the world? The Muslims could be a cure for all the problems in the world, like the way the thing the bee gives is a cure for so many diseases. Allah give us understanding. Today we need to show the world. Let us bring the qualities of a bee into our life. And then show the world, Islam is not the problem. Muslims are never the problem. Islam is the solution to the problems. Islam has the answers to all our problems. Without Islam, the world is in problems. With real Islam, with the true face of Islam, with real, sincere, faithful Muslims, the world is in peace. Allah give us understanding. Allah first of all give me the understanding. Allah first of all bless me with the qualities of a bee. Bless all of us. Bless all the ummah with the qualities of a bee. Because that is what the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. The example of a believer is the example of a bee. May Allah make us such. Ameen wa sallallahu wa sallam ala rasulina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.